All right, welcome back. So now let's design a classic illustration. If you go into the O7 practical lessons folder, which is inside the exercise folder, you will see these particular resources for this design. So it's a simple classic illustration and courtesy of TemplateNet. So, and you can see the title is Where Are You, Mrs. Andrews? We have the subtitle, the author name, the publisher name, and then it's just a simple vector file illustration. And then the font, we're going to use two fonts, the Amatic XC and then the Playfair display font. So this is a fairly simple design, and then we are going to be taking advantage of vector smart objects. So this is the image, which is an illustration and downloaded from freepik.com. so we have to, and we're going to use to in this design. So this is the first one. A typical design is like this. You can just see all the layers in Adobe Illustrator, so you don't need to know how to use that. So all you can just do is just cursor drag over all the layers, and then you'll be able to copy them. Control C to copy, or Command C to copy, and then go to Photoshop, and then we are going to choose our dimension. This time around we're going to use inches, and we are going to select 9 by 11.5 inches dimension. Resolution 72, or we could use 300. It doesn't really matter, so we could just be designing for Lulu or then CMYK if you like, but I always recommend RGB. So of course, it's going to change to working CMYK. That's a color profile. So now this is what we have. This is a dimension, and we are going to design over this. So this is the foreground color and the background color, and then you can select that foreground color, and let's choose a color FE5 5DC and click on OK. And we're going to have a kind of like a milky color, and then we're going to paint over it. Paint over the background. So Alt delete or Option delete on Mac to paint that. And now we'll go back, Control C, and then of course copy and paste, and then you can uncheck that if you want, and then you will paste the illustration from AI to Photoshop. So now it's going to be a vector smart. So you can zoom in to enlarge, Control++ or Command++ to zoom in, so you can see all the details. And now if you double click on that, you will see it will open in Illustrator. So now I always like to select sample color from the background. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sample this color, and I'm going to sample that, but I want this lighter color, so to create a little bit of contrast between the background and then image. So we are going to paint it, Alt delete or Option delete. You can see now we have a fairly cool color by sampling from the image. So you don't want it too deep, you want it to be a little bit subtle. So color from the dog, it's okay, and we can even sample from the dog frame. And for the text, we are going to sample the dog, which is going to be the deeper color. So but that color from the dog fits perfectly well in the background. So now we are done with that image. Now we need to select this text tool, and then we need to put the author publisher details. That's the old grammar book. So we can type that and then double click, and of course we need to make sure we have the font Playfair regular, or we can make it bold, and of course we can increase the size and change the color. Right now it's the same color as the background, so increase the font to about 19, drag it until it's centered. We can always do that later, and then click on that and sample color from the door. Like I said, we can sample color from that. It's good to sample color from your images, and you can see that's the color that fits, and we can just choose maybe a lighter part of that color and click on OK. So now we have old grammar book, play fair display, and then move it. Select move with the move tool and then drag until it's centered horizontally. So now that we have that, we can drag that to the top, and now we can select it again and then add the original story by the author details. Original story by, let's drag that to the middle and check. And now let's type the author name. I'm trying to remember the author name. I think it's yes, Danny Stewart, Janice Stewart. And now just to confirm, I think it's Stewart Loney or something like that. And now we can drag to and check. And now we have the author details. We can move that closer to, and just select the move tool, and then you can move that so that it's a little bit closer. So we can increase the size or reduce the size of that font and check, and so that we have the author name bigger than, and then we can just drag that until it's a little bit closer. So that's good. So now that we have that, we need to add the other details, which is the title. So we can just click and where are you, then of course question mark, double click, and the color, let's choose a deeper, let's make it black. Let's make it black, and of course, or make it lighter, not too black. And of course, this time around, we're going to use the Amatic SC fonts, the regular or the bold. So let's use the bold, and of course, we can increase the size of that. So just crop to increase the size. Let's make it big. So, and of course, select the move tool and put it in position in the middle. So where are you, then Mrs. Andrew? So here's where we're going to put the question mark, and of course we can just drag and double click and make that bigger. Then we can enter maybe 90, check, and now that's the size. The move tool, and you can move it until it's center. Move it closer, and then we have that. So because we're gonna have one more line of text, which is the subtitle, so we are going to add little Loney left outside. And of course we're going to make that ... we're going to make that smaller. So we're going to scrub and make that so much smaller to about maybe 33, 32. And of course we can check that and then drag it into, select the move tool and drag it into position until it's centered. So now we have our title and our subtitle. Now we can select that and then shift and select the other ones and then group it together. So that's the title. Double click and put it as title. Now we have the title grouped together. Now the subtitle, all the author details, original story by, and the name, you can group that together and double click and put it as author or author name, author. something like that. So now we have this in that particular group, and let's put it as publisher or publisher details. So now we have the title, publisher name, and then the author name. We can select all of them and of course make sure they are centered. So if they are centered, now we are almost done with this design. So basically this is what when you're using a vector file, this is what it looks like. And of course we can check out this image also and try and use this image just for us to get. So this image I downloaded from freepik.com, and of course we have these the boy, a dog, and then this background houses in the background, we can turn that off. So you can go into check that just to make sure to confirm the layer. So we can check that that's the boy, that's the dog food plate, and of course this layer is where you have the building. So we can, it's in that layer, so we can continue to find that building. If you go down, you should be able to see you can ungroup so that they are ungrouped, but we don't want to do that. So you can just see this is the layer, so you can turn that off. So that's how they turn the layer off in After Effects. So now this is what I want. The clouds, I don't want the clouds, so I want it to just be the boy, the dog, and then those other buildings. So I'm going to find the clouds and I'm going to turn that off. And you can see, let's turn that off. That's part of the cloud. Turn that off. Turn that off. 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 And now we have that. So we have the boy, the dog, and so we can just copy, drag to highlight and copy, and then you paste. Control C, Control V, Smart Object, click OK, and then drag into position like that. And we can find the other layer and turn that off. So waiting for it. So I don't want it to add it to library. So I'm going to turn that off, and now we have this. So you can go to Freepik or many other sites and download lots of images, and this is how you do that. By we are going to center all this and then we're done. So you can go to that site and do this. As long as you have Adobe Illustrator installed on your system, you should be able to do this easily. Just Control C and Control V in Photoshop and make sure it's the vector smart object is selected, and then now it is done. So I like to work like this if I'm working with a vector file. So I like to so that I'll be able to work both in Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator, so that any changes I want to make, I'll be able to open it in Adobe Illustrator, make the changes in Adobe Illustrator, and now save. Once I save it, it's going to reflect automatically in Photoshop. So that's the end of this. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to save it, of course, as a PNG file, classic book cover underscore design 1, and then save, and then I can uncheck, turn the other one, and then save it as classic design 2, and then save. And of course I'm going to save the JPEG version, and we are done with this design. So go through the exercise file and make sure you design something like this, and you will be fine. So I hope you like this design. So in the next video, we are going to design a cookbook, and check out the other videos. So I hope you like this video. Thank you, and bye bye.